What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the new raid Crucible of Storms that will be coming out with patch 8.1.5. Whenever that is. Now this is a 2-boss raid and it was open for testing on the PTR, at least Heroic was. I think normal was as well, but I just tried Heroic. They also tuned everyone's item level to 385, which, I mean, come on. You're putting us into a new raid on Heroic difficulty and you're going to make our item level 385. It does seem like Blizzard purposely tunes the health of these bosses on the PTR to be ridiculous, just so we can experience all the mechanics for an extended period of time or something, I don't know. Also, Crucible of Storms is located in Stormsong Valley, near the Shrine of the Storms portal. The portal is actually there right now on live if you want to go to it. If you know where that Warbringer Yenaj, I think that's the name, world boss is, which is the giant void-like dude, the Crucible of Storms raid portal is right there. Anyways, on to the boss. The first boss is named the Restless Cabal. It's a 2-boss encounter, and they do not share a health pool. Fathul the Feared, which is a big crusher dude, then Zajus something, which is a mage dude. We would have both of our tanks on either boss, and the DPS would focus Fathul. And pretty much throughout the fight, or the first phase at least, there's just a bunch of stuff to not stand in, like purple swirls on the ground. Also, this more faint purple swirl that someone gets under their feet called Crushing Doubt. And with this, you want to get as far from the group as possible since it does proximity damage. Then there was another ability which will be kind of interesting to leverage, and that is Dark Herald. It'll put a purple circle around you, and you'll probably want to stack with this since when it falls off of you, it gives everyone stacked a damage buff, but also decreases their max health by a certain amount depending on the stacks. This can be dispelled, but will also hurt the dispeller. Then there's this other thing that Zax, I'll just call him Zax, the Zax boss does, called Cerebral Assault. It's a very far frontal cone, so this boss needs to be pointed away from the raid at all points, because anyone who's caught in it will be hostile to all other players for 6 seconds. Now these people are not mind controlled or anything, they just become attackable to your raid members for 6 seconds, so stop AoEing if this happens. Now there are these 3 relics around the room that will become empowered once one of the bosses reach 75%, 50%, and 25% health. These 3 relics are used on the next boss, by the way. Now whichever relic the weakened boss is closest to, that's the one that will be empowered. There's a crown, a trident, and a stone rock thing. When the crown gets empowered, it does a bunch of raid-wide damage and decreases the damage that players do for some amount. Empowering the trident will place a giant watery bubble that anyone standing in it will have damage absorption. But the bubble's damage absorption needs to be depleted or the group will wipe. Then empowering the stone will make it so all players cannot be healed for some amount of time and puts a medium-sized absorption shield on the boss. So, some interesting effects. And you only want to empower 1 relic at a time, or it's like a wipe. Now during the phases of each of these being empowered, there will be these 3 void abomination dudes that cast a long interruptible ability called Witness the End. If this gets off, it does quite a bit of damage to the group, and also kills the abomination ad. Now these ads have too much health to switch to kill, so you want to allow Witness the End to go off one after the other, but spread out some. And then both the bosses have to die at roughly the same time, or else one will heal up 20%. But then again, we never got even close to that far. I'm also not sure which of these mechanics are heroic only since the dungeon journal currently doesn't really say, but that's it. That's the first boss, the Restless Cabal in Crucible of Storms. This does seem like an interesting raid, with even more interesting loot. The bosses in here drop no Azurite gear, but the armor and weapons they do drop all have interesting equip effects to them. Like for this boss, just to name a few, here are some leather gloves that when used will tether you to 5 allies within 20 yards. Then after 6 seconds you'll be healed by 25% of the amount that they were all healed for combined. Or these mail legs, where when you're above 90% health, you have a chance to do extra damage to the target, but when you're below 90% health, your attacks will heal you for some amount. Then there's these cloth boots that increase your speed by 200 for every 20% health you're missing, up to 600 speed. Now, as interesting as those equip and use abilities are, some of the gear doesn't give 2 secondary stats because of that, like the second item I mentioned, the Fathul's Flood Guards. Also, the sole weapon that this boss drops, which seems to be a healing staff, it also has no secondary stats, but its use effect will put a ward on the friendly target where if they take a certain amount of damage from a single hit, it's consumed and will heal that friendly target instead. And that's only on a 40-second cooldown. So yeah, some interesting gear drops from this dungeon. But that's it. That's the first boss, or what I can show you anyways. If you guys enjoyed this video, then you can leave a like on it. You can sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.